In the quiet town of Windhaven, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, life had always been tranquil. The townsfolk were friendly, the streets were clean, and the days passed with a comforting regularity. However, beneath this veneer of serenity lay a secret that only a few dared to acknowledge. The town was haunted by a curse that had plagued it for generations, a curse known as the Nightmare's End. The legend of Nightmare's End was a tale whispered among the townspeople, a story told to children to keep them from wandering into the woods at night. It was said that an ancient evil lurked in the forest, a malevolent spirit that fed on fear and despair. Those who fell asleep within the forest boundaries were doomed to experience their worst nightmares, trapped in a never-ending cycle of terror, until their minds broke and their spirits were claimed by the darkness. Alice Morgan, a young woman with a passion for the supernatural, had recently moved to Windhaven to escape the chaos of the city. She was fascinated by the town's history and its eerie legends, particularly the story of Nightmare's End. Determined to uncover the truth, Alice began to investigate the origins of the curse, delving into old records and speaking with the town's elders. Her research led her to an ancient, crumbling mansion on the outskirts of town, known as the Blackwood Estate. It had been abandoned for decades, its once grand facade now covered in ivy and decay. The townsfolk avoided the mansion, believing it to be the epicenter of the curse. According to the legend, the original owner of the mansion, a man named Alexander Blackwood, had dabbled in dark magic, seeking power and immortality. In doing so, he had unleashed a terrible force that had consumed him and cursed the town. One foggy evening, Alice decided to visit the mansion, hoping to find clues that might help her understand the nature of the curse and how to break it. Armed with a flashlight and a notebook, she made her way through the overgrown gardens and up the creaking steps to the front door. The air was thick with an oppressive silence, and a sense of foreboding settled over her as she pushed the door open. The interior of the mansion was dark and musty, filled with the scent of mildew and decay. Dust motes danced in the beam of her flashlight as she moved from room to room, documenting her findings. The walls were lined with portraits of the Blackwood family, their eyes seeming to follow her as she passed. In the library, she found an old, leather-bound journal that appeared to belong to Alexander Blackwood himself. As she read the journal by the light of a flickering candle, Alice uncovered the details of Blackwood's descent into madness. He had become obsessed with the idea of conquering death, conducting dark rituals, and invoking ancient spirits in his quest for eternal life. The final entry in the journal spoke of a ritual that had gone horribly wrong, unleashing a force that he could not control. The mansion had become a prison for his tortured soul, and the curse had spread to the town, claiming the minds of those who dared to dream within the forest. Determined to put an end to the curse, Alice continued her search, hoping to find a way to reverse the damage that Blackwood had done. Her exploration led her to the basement, where she discovered a hidden chamber filled with strange symbols and ritualistic artifacts. In the center of the room stood an altar, upon which lay a book of dark magic. Alice's heart pounded as she approached the altar. She knew that the key to ending the curse lay within the pages of the book, but she also understood the risks involved. As she opened the book, the air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to deepen. She began to read the incantations aloud, her voice steady despite the fear that gnawed at her. The atmosphere in the chamber grew charged with energy, and Alice could feel a presence watching her from the darkness. She continued the ritual, her voice rising as the air around her crackled with electricity. Suddenly, a figure appeared before her. A tall, imposing man with hollow eyes and a twisted grin. It was Alexander Blackwood, or what remained of him. "You dare to challenge me?" he hissed, his voice a whisper that echoed through the chamber. "You cannot undo what has been done." Alice stood her ground, her resolve unwavering. "I will end this curse," she declared, her voice filled with determination. "You have tormented this town for long enough." With a final powerful incantation, Alice completed the ritual. The chamber was filled with a blinding light, and Blackwood's form disintegrated before her eyes, his anguished screams fading into silence. The oppressive energy that had filled the room dissipated, replaced by a sense of peace and clarity. Alice emerged from the mansion, the first rays of dawn breaking through the fog. She knew that the curse had been lifted, that the nightmare was finally over. The townsfolk of Windhaven could now sleep peacefully, free from the terror that had haunted their dreams. In the days that followed, the story of Alice's bravery spread through the town. The mansion was no longer seen as a place of fear, but as a testament to the power of courage and determination. Alice continued her work. As a researcher and writer, her experiences in Windhaven inspiring her to explore other legends and mysteries. The town of Windhaven thrived, its people united by the knowledge that even the darkest curses could be broken by the light of understanding and the strength of the human spirit. And the forest, once a place of dread, became a symbol of renewal and hope. Alice knew that there were still many secrets to uncover and many stories to tell, but she faced the future with a newfound sense of confidence and purpose. The nightmare had ended and a new chapter had begun.